Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. How are you all doing? Chat's acting a little funky on the screen, but that's fine. The messages themselves are working. Hello. We are here, of course, for some Survivor, but also to share some fun news, which is that today the USA Today bestseller list released their list for the week of my book's release. And we hit number 15 of all books in the country. So my understanding of this, just to give the explanation here, there's two major lists. One is the New York Times bestseller list. The other is the USA Today bestseller list. The USA Today bestseller list is like, that's the numbers list. That's the data-driven list. I made that list because through all platforms competing against all books, it sold the 15th best in the country this week, including pre-orders. It was number 5 for nonfiction. So it's pretty incredible. We are, let me see if I can pull this up. For reference, Kamala Harris is number 20. Amongst others. Michelle Obama, number 70. I don't know why. It's specifically political women. John Kennedy, number 75. Basically, for a debut nonfiction book, is pretty good. It's pretty good. My marketing people at the publisher jumped on a call with me today, and they were very happy, very pleased. In particular, they were like, "This is really cool, especially because it wasn't like this book sold on the strength of your audience, the reputation that you had, and like the strength of the writing and the depth of the actual book. Like, this wasn't a book that was like, hey, here are the scandalous secrets. You need to read the book to find out. You'll never believe what they did." This was something that was trying to like reach people and connect with them. And so it's really cool that it did well in that way. So my understanding, what this means is I am officially a best-selling author, national best-selling author. Um, but there is bad news, and it's not terrible news. It's just um, we just missed the New York Times bestseller list. That's the best guess. The best guess is that we just missed it. Basically, the New York Times bestseller list is not strictly numbers. It's numbers plus they weight things differently, and they also just kind of curate it and pick things. And so then there's the whole dagger situation. But basically, there's a very good chance that I have outsold a good amount of the books on the New York Times list, but they've either been on the list already and therefore were more likely to be chosen again, or whatever the case may be. Bottom line was, my understanding, there was a very real chance. I came very close. There was one spot potentially available, and we missed it by 100 books. Yeah. Which is rough. Um, and ultimately, like, the thing is, and this is like, because obviously I never even considered like, oh, I'll hit the New York Times. Like, I didn't really think that was a possibility. But man, when you get that close, you're like, damn, what could I have done differently? But like the bottom line is, it's still like an incredible accomplishment, so on and so forth. Really, the difference is that it's just the New York Times list is the more prestigious list because it's curated, because it's more recognized. To say I'm a New York Times bestseller matters a lot more. To say I'm a USA Today bestseller, you kind of have to explain, like, where on the list were you? How well did you do? Like it's not quite there, and you're just almost there. But so that's it's a strange day. I'm very proud of what I accomplished and what you helped me accomplish. While also trying to be like, damn, I really came that close. It would have been so much easier if I wasn't close. You know what I mean? If it was like, well, obviously, I'm a new author who wrote a book about Big Brother. Like, it's not going to be a New York Times bestseller. The fact that I came that close, and it's also apparently November is a very bad time for this, because it's a very packed release time, and so on and so forth. But either way, the bottom line is that it still did incredibly well, and like, it's still something that will theoretically help me significantly when it comes to trying to write another book, which is like the major thing. So Stevie asks a very good question on Patreon. Do audiobook sales count toward anything as far as getting on those lists? For New York Times, no. For USA Today, yes. And that also is, I think, a big reason why, like, I'm missing out on a lot of those sales for New York Times. And obviously a lot of people would want to do the audiobook for my book. So like, basically the amount of books that like counted toward New York Times were like 60% of total sold. Because of the way that, or even, I think like even close to counted. because of the way that because of the ones that they count. Um, and then I don't even know how much the weighting impacted it, but also like that was one of the things. Like you saw me doing this over the course of the summer was like, hey, I know I said you should buy it here, but also buy it over here if you haven't bought it yet. Because my marketing team was like, we've sold too many in one place, and that's bad for New York. I don't like that at New York Times. So it was like, oh, we need to sell like a few over at Barnes and Noble. We need to sell a few over at these other bookstores. We need to. They messaged me a few weeks ago, like, can we get some sold at Target? And so the almost half, not almost half, a good chunk of my sales went to Book Catapult. You guys know this. I signed 4,200 there. And so that likely hurt me to some degree as well. Although Amazon's not amazing either, apparently. Anyway, the bottom line is it was an incredible experience. And the thing, honestly, that like matters more to me, there's a reason why I wasn't like refreshing the bestseller lists, because that's great. You know, the vanity thing that I care about the most, and I've been upfront with this. I was talking about this on the Patreon book club the other day. I'm refreshing that Goodreads page. Oh my God, and we're up to 4.65 right now. I just want people to like the book. You know what I mean? If they bought the book, that's great. That's great for marketing. That's great for like the reputation that I've built and the audience that I've cultivated and so on and so forth. And I love that. I love that for all of us. But I don't want to sell a book if it's not good. I don't want to be somebody that's just like, oh yeah, well, I wrote a thing and then I was able to just, sell it to a bunch of people. Look at me, I'm a good marketer. I want the book to be good. You know what I mean? And the fact that it's maintaining a high rating so far on Goodreads, and I'm getting such great feedback, that is by far the more valuable thing to me. I just know that I need to like advertise the best-selling bits, because that's going to help me write. That's going to help me sell a book in the future to publishers. So that's my current situation. That was my day today. Interesting day. It's gonna take me a second to get over, man. Just 100 more, maybe. But at the same time, I'm so proud of the fact that I've done this at all, and I think that like it's also like I'm so in my own way sometimes. I'm very bad at celebrating my own wins. Because I immediately when I get there, I go, okay, what's the next step? What should I work toward next? And so, and that's, I mean, it's so in my head right now. It's like, okay, what's the next book? And they got me on the call too, and they were so excited. They were like, this is what you did. This is so amazing. And I was trying so hard. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I'm so bad at it. I'm so bad. You could tell that they were like, I could tell that they were expecting me to be very like, wow. And I'm just not good at doing that. I don't know. But I thanked them and everything, and it was really cool. But yeah, it's I think one of the major things is I just don't believe it's just hard to believe it's real. It just doesn't feel real yet. I still don't feel like I'm an actual author. Yeah, like when Riley gets evicted, I'm pumped. when people tell me you're now a best-selling author, I'm like, that's cool. What does that mean? What's wrong with me? I think part of it is that like it's still it's hard to like when Riley gets evicted, it's done. He's gone. Nothing he can do about it. Um if I think maybe part of me feels like if I indulge and feel good about this and start to identify as an author and whatever, but then I fail in the future, then that's going to suck. So I'm like always trying to keep myself grounded, but I think I sometimes go too far in that direction. Um there's definitely like a huge amount of self-consciousness that I have when it comes to okay, I wrote a book about Big Brother. I'm willing to tell myself, I'm willing to admit, I think it's a good book. I think it's a good book and it sold really well. But what happens when you take Big Brother away? Who am I without Big Brother? Can I succeed on my own merit? You know what I mean? That's how I feel. If I write a book that's not about Big Brother, could that do well? That's what I keep telling myself now. It's a disease. Um, do you want me to do I want you to call out editing errors in the book club chats? No, I don't. I really don't. Because there's nothing I can do about it anymore. Thank you for asking. Um. Anyway, episode starting soon. Let me pull this up for the Patreon. I'm the #1 watched Twitch channel according to your year. Look at that. Third on YouTube after RJP and Dr. Mike. I mean, that's a pretty fun list right there. Anyway, again, that was my day. I'm excited to have been able to share it with you all. Let's watch some Survivor. This is what you see on Patreon. If you are a patron, you get this version of the stream. And that's where we are. Let's run a prediction. Commercial by 512. If I were to look at writing another book, who or what is my focus? I want to write fiction. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to writing. I had a lot of fun writing nonfiction, but I don't think I could write a better nonfiction book than the one I wrote about Big Brother. I mean, I might be a better writer as I go on more, but like nothing will have the amount of like intimate knowledge and experience that I have with Big Brother. And I've always loved fiction. I think probably the smart play and something I would be interested in doing is writing. I've talked about this before. Writing something that is social strategy related when it comes to fiction. Yeah, that's rough. Why would that trick her into playing her idol? Because Jeff would say it was fake before she had to commit to playing hers. I'm still just so frustrated that Sophie wasn't a bigger character in the beginning of the season, given how important she is to the story. I would have loved to have seen some of what she's talking about in the early portion of the season. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was terrible damage control. Genuinely, and everyone's different. But if it were me, if I were Sage, I would prefer somebody who was just like, sorry. Yeah, I lied. Oh well. It's a game. And like, it hurt that you smiled. I don't know what to say. Sorry. Don't be trying to. No, you don't understand. It's because he would have beaten me. He would have beaten me. He would have beaten all of us. And I was proud of myself for making a move like that. But get out of here with this. Don't come at me with that. Don't half own a thing. The Vince came out because I think I was hearing a little bit of Vince. I think that's exactly. I think we're getting to the bottom of it. I think that's how Vince would have done it. I mean, hot take maybe, but of the three, Sophie, Savannah, Rizzo, I would vote for Sophie. I think she's played the best of the three of them by a decent margin. Like, they've played flashier games, and I think that they've played decent games, given their situation. But Sophie's had a harder time, a harder hill to climb, and has been in less danger because of her impressive social game and strategic maneuvering. Here's the thing, though. You can't say that and then go to the end with them. So now she's trapped herself. I don't think I would want to sit next to Sage. I think Sage is more threatening in a final three. See, this to me feels like the first big misstep from Sophie. A strenuous journey. Yeah, I agree, Sydney. I feel like there's not really a person on this beach that I think would have a hard time winning. Which makes everyone have a hard time winning, ultimately. They all have pretty decent cases. Except for maybe this Sophie. Because she's now a flipper. Do you need to win? Maybe. I mean, let's look at the lay of the land here. There are 7 players left. You have Rizzo and Savannah locked in duo. You have Sophie, the two Sophies, both of them trying to work with that duo, but both of them not like super loyal. Then you have Christina and Steven, who are a duo, but nobody's looking to work with them as of right now. And then you have Sage, scorned Sage, who's looking to get either revenge on Sophie or finally get Savannah out. It's a tricky situation when Rizzo still has his idol, because in order to pull a move on Rizzo or Savannah, you need to pull Blue Sophie in with Sage, Steven, and Christina, which is quite a ragtag group at that point. And then it's a 4-3 vote where you have theoretically like a 50-50 chance at taking someone down. And maybe the compromise is Yellow Sophie, right? You plant 3 votes on Yellow Sophie, but then again, you're that idol has been so incredibly crucial for the survival of Rizzo and Savannah. Oh, right. Knowledge is power. Right. So you could knowledge is power it. And then you do have potentially 4 votes. But then if you make that move, if you are Blue Sophie and you gather Sage, Steven, and Christina, and you say, let's all go on Savannah. Don't worry about Rizzo's idol. I'll knowledge is power it. You are for sure next. That's just it. You're next. There's no shot. You pull together a group of 4 to take out Savannah and knowledge is power to take an idol. You have to then use the idol and like win your way to the end. There's no way anybody's letting you get there. So that's a bit risky. Yes, there was no commercial. And we're back. Does Steven lose his vote? Yes, no. This is at any time in the next, on the journey. Or related to the journey. I just genuinely don't understand Yellow Sophie's plan. Like, what is her long-term plan here? She really wants Steven gone. To what end? Okay, Blue Sophie also wants Steven out. That whole Savannah thing was a red herring. You can't have that conversation and then wait unless you're... I feel like they're just playing with us. Why? I don't understand. Why does she want Steven gone so bad instead of Savannah? Steven in is way more powerless right now. I just instantly got so bored. Over on my Patreon, by the way, I'm still covering Traders Canada, but I've started doing a new thing, which is I'm speeding it up and skipping through the challenges, and it's a much better show. It's a much better show. I'm sorry, Steven. That shot of you running was very funny. It's hard to run on sand, man. Woo! That was not a great fall, but not a terrible fall. Yeah, I watched all of Celebrity Traders UK. 1x speed, didn't skip a moment. It was great, whole way through. I think I've mentioned this before. I've watched like full hour-long videos of people doing stuff like this and loved every second of it. Like watching Storer do a straight line challenge. That's prime stuff. Which makes me sad because this doesn't work for me. Bonk. Ha! It's a single block vote. It's really not. I'm happy for him. I like Steven. I just don't like that Survivor seems to care more about telling these stories of like, man, who cares how the game plays out? What matters is the emotional journeys we go through, you know? Um and the thing is that like that's real. Those emotional journeys are real and they are a huge and important part of the show. Um but I just feel like they care too much about it. I'm a hater. I know. I was just I was just looking through the I didn't know this existed. On Patreon, you can look through your like exit interviews to look at like if people gave a reason for why they canceled. And so one of the people that canceled my their Patreon subscription wrote uh all you do is complain about Survivor. I was like, "You know what? I can't even argue." I can't even argue. I'm so sorry. It's literally, I feel like it's only this season. I've been complaining about certain aspects of Survivor for the last few seasons. Um, but to be fair to me, I was actually a champion of the new era for like the first couple years. A lot of people were really negative on like Survivor 41 through 45. And I was actually like, I felt like a lone voice being like, I actually like these changes. I think that there's a lot of value to changing things up. And I think that it's been really fun to see a new shift in perspective and some new structures. Um, but then they just kept doing it and haven't changed it for the last like 5 years. And in my eyes have only kind of gotten worse with some of the stuff that they've been doing. All right, I'm sorry I missed the prediction there, but Stephen did not lose his vote. And we're back. Yeah, I thought 47 was great. How many chickens do they have? How many have they killed already? Oh, sorry, we didn't get into the block a vote thing. A vote steal would be a hell of a lot better than a vote block, I'll tell you that. She has to know what it is, though, doesn't she? If she says you have a steal a vote, it won't work, right? It's literally just advantage or idle. Well, that's lame. He'll have already blocked the vote before he leaves for tribal. That's true. Yep. Small tell there, potentially, is how pleased Steven seems to be at the prediction that it's a steal a vote. I think he was a little better earlier. I think that if you are trying to, if you have a thing and you don't want people to know what it is, and then somebody comes up to you and says exactly what it is, I think you want to be annoyed, nervous. Those are the two primary emotions I'm focusing on. Small bit of annoyance, little bit of nervousness, little bit of like, oh shit, what do I say? He caught me off guard. Uncomfortable, like, maybe. And I think he did that really well initially. But I think that when Rizzo kept saying, I know for a fact it's a steal a vote, he couldn't help but like crack a little bit of a smile. Um, but yeah, it seems like knowledge is power will not work on this regardless because he chooses before. Um, but the bottom line is, and they're making such a big deal of it, but like the block a vote is so unlikely to matter. Um, there's currently 7 votes total, which means you just straight up can't use a block a vote to swing a vote. At best, you can force a tie, and then you get into all kinds of complicated situations about like how does the block a vote work in the case of a tie. Um, but it's nearly useless in this round. And then next round, which is probably like the last round he could use it anyway, because they're not going to let him use it all the way through. They like I doubt they let him use it at 5. Obviously, he can't use it at 4 because there's no vote at 4. And at 5 anyway, it doesn't matter. So you basically can only play this with 6 votes total, and it only matters if it's a 3-3 split. It's otherwise functionally useless. And its best use is exactly how Steven's using it, which is pretend it's something more important than it actually is. Prediction, I think we'll probably get a challenge. And I've probably waited too long. So let me just do like, let me wait for the challenge and then see if I can come up with something. It feels like the jet lag curse on a train line that does nothing. Does Christina's idol go back into circulation now? It's kind of up to the producer's discretion if they want to add more idols. And quite frankly, I think that it's fairly obvious that they're pretty fond of Savannah and Rizzo and probably really like the idea of a storyline where the two of them claw their way back. And so introducing other idols that could interfere with that might not be their priority. We're back. Oh, is this going to be? I don't think this is going to be easy to guess second place. You were doing all right, Steven. Don't doubt yourself. Please just don't make Jeff do it again. We've already heard it. Oh, he is doing it again. I thought that was fun. Some of you were a little grouchy about it. I thought it was fun until Jeff started doing his own version. Just call me Mr. Grinch. Listen, I'm not judging you for being grouchy. I'd be one to talk. Spaghetti and pesto. I'm not going to do what he just did. Oh, you know what we can do? Who gets the post challenge confessional? Steven, Christina, Savannah, Rizzo, Sophie, and Sage. Or nobody. I think you go at the pace that works for you. I think that's the best you can do. You think they make good pastries in Fiji? Not specifically Fiji and as a whole, but Survivor Fiji. I don't like Steven's stack. It's there's a point where it starts just like angling the wrong way for some reason. Those don't look like they have flat sides. They look a little rough. So I think you might want to like rotate them to try to keep them stably upright as opposed to starting to shift. You can't really fix it now. I think I never mind. He can. I thought you couldn't take both hands off. I think it's absolutely worth it to have taken that time. It's really bad that it's so tilted. I mean, his just looks so much worse. I feel like because the blocks aren't uniform, some people are just going to have worse blocks, don't you think? Like Sage's look so straight compared to Steven's. And he did try to rotate to make them to fix it and make them straighter. It looks like in particular the I to the N really struggles, whereas Sage's are just perfect. It's possible too that it's just like dirt. Like maybe there's been a little dirt that got in on the bottom. But it really looks like they're just not even. Yeah, Sage's, there's like the gaps on Sage's and Rizzo's way smaller. That looked like it was about to fall. It's ridiculous that he's able to hold that. Let's go. Are we back? We're back. We're back. Brief disconnect there, but we recovered. Did you hear the way Steven repeated what Jeff said? Tell me why, given everything that's happened in this game. Given everything that's happened in this game, that's generally how confessionals operate. It's not surprising that it would have been an instinctual kind of way to answer Jeff like that. Yeah, Steven really is like everything that Survivor wants out of a contestant in terms of like he just plays ball with them so much. Ooh, Sage. It was Sage. What would you do? Who's that guy that makes that show? What would you do? What would you do if you were on a journey on Survivor and somebody showed up? um I got nothing. I got nothing for the prediction. I think we'll skip one. Sage wants Sophie for revenge. And honestly, I get it. It actually does make sense. Because Sophie is the most disposable player, and by taking out Sophie, you retain the threat of Savannah and Rizzo. Sophie is really good at challenges, just like Savannah. The difference is that, like, I don't think people are too concerned about Sophie in a final tribal, and I don't think they're too concerned about her as a threat in the game because she doesn't have any allies. So if you take out Savannah, now all of a sudden, like the Sophie's scattered to the wind, Rizzo is by himself, and who's the new threat? Could theoretically be anyone. And maybe that's the situation you want, but there's definitely like potential value in saying, well, let me take out Sophie instead, keep Rizzo and Savannah as threats, and make sure that everyone else in the game focuses their attention on them for the coming rounds. And if Savannah wins out, she wins out. Sophie could have won out too, you know? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, she's just in a pretty bad position generally. But given that Sophie has already displayed that she is not with you in any real capacity, the difference between taking out Sophie and taking out Savannah, I really don't think it's that big. Immediately, thank you for the 5th month. All right, we're back. Common enemy being Sophie. Man, this really illuminates just how bad a move it was last week for Sophie to flip in the way that she did. It's funny that Savannah's built up so much as this big threat, but like she rarely has anything to do. They've all iced her out of the social strategic landscape for so long. Sophie should not be pitching this. Yellow Sophie should not be the one to pitch this to Sage. That's such a bad call. The fact that Savannah had the same argument to me indicates that her and Rizzo coordinated this, which means they've been planning to throw Sophie under the bus. Okay. I don't think it's fair to call Sage too emotional if you didn't feel the same way about like Sophie's decision last week, right? Like her explanation at least for why she decided to flip was similar. Was like, I felt like these people didn't give me the time of day. And then similarly, you could say the same thing again about like the choice to flip on Savannah in the first place, which might have felt emotional, but like, um, most decisions in the game stem from some amount of emotion. And I would say again, I don't think that taking Sophie out is a bad move for Sage. You could maybe make a case, you could argue. Um, but like I'm not like if I'm looking at it trying to remove all emotion and just purely looking strategically, I already kind of laid it out. Like there's definitely a path where voting out Sophie makes more sense because it leaves in the threat of Savannah, which helps unify the rest of the players against Savannah. Like the next round, if you have Savannah, Rizzo, Soph, then um, well, I guess with the block a vote for Steven, you're locked in. But like if you take out Savannah, then it's instead of Savannah, Sophie, Rizzo, it's Sophie, Sophie, Rizzo. You haven't really won anything. And the only real difference is that people might be less threatened by that grouping. And so blue Sophie might be less worried about going to the end with yellow Sophie than she is about going to the end with Savannah and Rizzo. Um, so, again, at the very least, I think there's a very decent argument to be made that this is the correct call, let alone like, you know, something that's at least worth considering. It reminds me a little bit of like BB17. A lot of people were super, super critical of Vanessa for leaving in the Oz twins for so long. Um, and, similarly, Rob famously called Steve a loser when he didn't vote out one of the Oz twins. But they were used as a big threat to prevent anyone else from making moves because they knew they had to be taken care of toward the end. And because of the way that Big Brother worked then, it wasn't a huge concern that they'd all remain safe all the way through to the end. Which is similar with Survivor. Like it's not super likely that a whole group will be able to um, keep themselves safe all the way through to the end. Does Sage have win equity? I mean, I don't know. Um, it's hard to know what the jury feels, but I don't think her win equity changes if she votes Sophie versus Savannah here. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I think that she needs both of them out in order to make it to the end. Or at the very least, she needs at least one of them out. But it doesn't, I think, super matter which one. I don't think you necessarily want to plan to go to the end with either one. But more importantly, uh, in Suri like fashion, if you well, it's like I see Yellow Sophie as not a huge jury threat, but they're apparently looking at Yellow Sophie as a big jury threat. But I don't know if that's just bluster. Like these things can sort of like be willed into existence. The fact that Blue Sophie was saying I can't beat Rizzo or Savannah in the final three manifests a scenario where she can't beat them. There maybe was an argument that she could have made, but now because she's already pre-made the argument that she can't, it's going to be harder for her to do so. We're back. We're back. You've watched my stream for 162 hours this year. Nice. That's probably as many hours as I have streamed. Yeah, you can see that there. She says it doubles as revenge, but there's an actual strategic reason. Oh wow, I've streamed about 290 hours this year. A bit more than I thought. This was the move for Sophie last week. It just was. Oh, I love that as a top emo. We'll do another prediction for next one. I don't feel creatively inspired by this episode for predictions. We had a good one with the post-challenge confessional. Okay. The prediction will be is the block vote used? That's the prediction. What does it mean if someone is on the right side of the vote every time? It's sometimes used as an indication that that person has had more control or at least more knowledge of what's happening. They haven't been blindsided at a vote. They've voted correctly. They've voted for the person that left every time. Um, it's not a perfect um like measure because first of all, sometimes you split votes. So you intentionally vote for a person you don't think is going to go. And that's not an indication that you're not on the inside of that vote. It's just that you just coordinated it that way, right? Um, and then also, just because you're on the right side of the vote doesn't mean that you are doing something that is good for you. Being on the right side of the vote every time in a spot where you're voting out people that were beneficial to you is not good. It's very much like, I mean, Vince is the perfect example of that. A lot of people who watched Big Brother 27 sort of mistook the fact that Vince was in charge of a lot of people leaving, and therefore were like, oh, well, he must have had a lot of control over the game. But most of the people he sent home, it were not good for him to have sent home. And so ultimately, he was not respected for that. He was, in fact, heavily critiqued for that because he was making those decisions and they went against his own interests. So it is an interesting stat to look at, and it's certainly one that you can point to in game to plant fear into people's minds. To be like, hey, this person's been on the right side of the vote every time. I wonder if that says something. And it certainly could, but there are very real scenarios, many real scenarios where it doesn't. I feel like it's easy to get Sophie out next. I don't think so. In the world where they do vote out Savannah, um, in that world, Sophie and Sophie are now a duo who did that together, very likely. They're still able to pull Rizzo, very likely. And I don't think you've won much there, right? It's still potentially a 3-3. You now don't have Sophie. But in the world where you take out Yellow Sophie, you still potentially have Sophie, Savannah, Rizzo. But at that point, Sophie, who you know is looking to jump ship, has to actually make a choice. And if she can stick with a 3-3, or she can jump ship and turn on Rizzo and Savannah at her last opportunity, which feels more likely than her turning on Sophie and Rizzo, right? Um, the only real issue is if Savannah wins that immunity at 6. We're back. But even then, you can just take out Blue Sophie and then try again on Savannah in the next time. Or just finally take out Rizzo when his idol doesn't work. All right, time for my least favorite part. This is really where I'd love to not be watching Survivor Live so I could just like really speed through. Okay, I saw a tweet that said Izzy and Paige got married, but then the photo was like photoshopped and I didn't know if it was a joke. How did they get married and are joking? That doesn't make sense. Oh, she posted a video on Blue Sky? Hold on, I'm gonna look. I care way more about this than Survivor. There's another. I don't know if you can see this. It's just like Photoshop. Oh, this is the real one. Okay. Oh, I love this. That's so exciting. I love them. Wow, I can't believe I went on that whole journey and Tribal's still going. Such a hater of Tribal. By the way, we did the first book club for my book on Tuesday. The video is up on Patreon. We talked about the introduction. We talked about a lot of the stuff that went behind the creation of the book initially. We're going to be doing another on Friday for the chapter 1. That's live on Patreon and then posted after the fact for all patrons. What's up with Christina and Savannah? I didn't even know they had any relationship. Have they interacted at all? I can't remember. Was she upset about the chicken thing? Was that a thing that happened? I don't get it because so many people seem to not like Savannah and yet they all talk about her like she's a massive jury threat. I guess that's just respect. The fact that so many people don't like her and she's still surviving. It happens. What are we talking about? Sometimes you might want revenge and revenge is good because revenge could get in the way of a good thing. And then sometimes people are saying a name. And you know, it's a game of opportunity. Yes, it is. Yes. Wait, is that what happens on Survivor? That's wild. After 25 years, I finally figured it out. You starve for a while and you win $1 million. So sorry. And with that, it's time to vote. Wait, I actually nailed it. Remember when uh Sophie last week was like, I need to keep Savannah around because she's my shield. I need another 31-year-old challenge beast on the beach. Oh, that's what Savannah meant. She's saying she's getting revenge because Sophie was saying her name. You think Jeff ever tallies the votes wrong? Like he goes to read a vote and is surprised, like, wait a minute, that's not what I thought it was. Is that it? Only one vote, Savannah? Yeah, that's right? Get her! I love Jawan and Sage. Yeah, I mean, you might have noticed that I haven't talked a lot about the edit or like my prediction on what's going to happen because I think for most of us it's pretty obvious, and for those of us who it isn't obvious for, I don't want to pile on. But definitely a huge part of like why this season is another part of why this season is not landing super well is particularly just how obvious things are. Mostly because of, Survivor 50 stuff. But even in this instance, it's like, okay, who do we think is going to win this battle? Is it Sophie, who showed up in episode 6, or Savannah, who's been a main character the whole time? um, and maybe this sets me up eventually for like a huge shock, but we're getting to a point where it's like, hopefully we're getting to a point where the Survivor 50 stuff is no longer feeling super spoilery. But man, for most of this season, it has felt super spoilery. And I didn't realize how spoilery it would be. I mean, the information just came to me. Like, it wasn't being hidden in the community. And I think now I wish it had been, because I mean, but here's the thing. Let's be really real, right? And I guess, like, if you don't know and you don't want to know, you can bounce out now if you really want to leave. I'm not gonna outright say it, but I'm gonna be vague enough about it. But my point is, it's so obvious. Like, who doesn't know at this point who the very likely candidates are? I could maybe see a little bit of hesitation. Maybe this, maybe that. But the fact that there are people returning for 50 alone gives you a lot of information. And if you know who they are, it's so much more obvious what's happening in the season. And they are not editing the season with that in mind. They're editing the season like you don't know, which I guess makes sense because probably the vast majority of the casual audience doesn't know. But man, it sucks for us, right? I really wish that I did not know how much it would impact the season. Because like, you can know, like, here are two standout characters, but when the entire like structure of the season is based on the survival of said characters, will they survive this or not? It's like, well, I kind of already know. Because they haven't done enough yet to warrant a spot on 50 yet. All right, we're back. You guess. It was a big debate in Edgic whether knowing their attorneys mattered. Oof. Well, we know who won that debate. All right. No block a vote was used. So here are some things on the docket. On Friday, I know I've said this before, but it's true this time, I will be live on Twitch and YouTube for the Soundbite tournament. For Big Brother 27. Much delayed. I apologize. There were a lot of things in the way. This Friday, 2 days from now, probably around like 2 or 3 Pacific my time. And so we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna lead that into, let's call it around 2. So 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. That's going to lead into the second night 2 of the book club, where we will talk about chapter 1 of Behind the Mirror. That is Patreon exclusive. So if you want to join for that, you can. But that is what's coming on Friday. I also have some amazing race coverage over on the Patreon coming soon. So stay tuned for that if you want to hear my thoughts on the amazing race. Just a couple of weeks ago now, I did a video with Brittany Haynes on Patreon, which was very fun, talking about the amazing race. We went through many important topics, such as, did Jag poop himself? And did he? I don't know. You'll have to watch the interview to find out. But check it all out. There's lots going on the Patreon. It's definitely the place to be for content that I am doing. So that's what I got. That's what I got. Which level of Patreon membership? So for Survivor, The Amazing Race, it is tier 2 and above. For everything else, for the most part, it is any tier. Specifically for the book club, to watch live and participate live and call in and ask questions and chat with me, it's tier 2 and above. But then the video will be posted for all tiers after the fact. So basically just a way to watch live and directly ask questions. You can still submit questions ahead of time if you're a normal tier as well. So that's what's going on. It'll be fun to dive into chapter 1. It'll be fun to finally run through the Soundbite tournament.
What are we actually doing here?
That was just a random one I picked. Let's pick another random one.
My weakness is that I care too much.
I'm going to say technically does not count. I'm going to say that does not get submitted. But I love that it was there. All right, one more random one. No, hold on. Now it genuinely needs to be random. It's going to be...
Get your popcorn ready.
There we go. Perfect. Two wills there. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the experience of watching the episode with me, at the very least. Thank you all again for those that bought the book and for those who are submitting ratings and reviews on Goodreads and Amazon and all of those places. I very, very much appreciate that. I literally couldn't do any of this without all of you supporting it and enjoying it. So thank you all so much. And maybe I'll see you all on Friday.